This is the Reality Self-Help Podcast. Summer House Recap Edition, because I'm on a mission. This episode was really interesting. I'll get into the parts of that later, but I did need to do a PSA right off the bat because I witnessed this with two different men on the cast. And I know West has done this as well. It's when men with their pointer finger wear rings. Well, any women too. I can't stand this. So I noticed that Carl was doing it. And then I believe it was also Ben. Please stop this, men. Please don't wear those rings. They drive me insane. Anyways, so one of the most interesting parts that I think reinforces the idea that reality TV is self-help, and as well as that it's very educational at times, because there was a conversation about race between Ciara, KJ, as well as Mia. And I'm guessing if you listen to this, you're aware that they're Black, but they talked about their experiences with racism. Even I wasn't really thinking, Ciara was saying with West, with him breaking up with her and publicly embarrassing her by talking about that in an interview, Ciara was saying she was being described as, well, you let that white man play you on television. And I didn't really grasp before that was added into the embarrassment of how that all went down. So, and West really took that in, and it was interesting. And then KJ was getting kind of emotional, saying he feels the same thing for his own sisters. I love KJ so much. His conversation with Carl, he's just one of those people you can tell he's very empathetic, and he likes to build other people up and make them comfortable. And he seems very, very honest. So he was saying he gets in his head all the time because Carl was saying his mood's kind of off, and sometimes he feels okay with Lindsay, but he doesn't know what he's going to get. Yeah, I think that KJ just shows he's a really good guy, really good friend. And so that was a nice convo between him and Carl. And then back to that dinner table conversation, just, I have heard this before, and I think a lot of people have, but about how with Black children, specifically Black boys, that they get a conversation of how to keep themselves safe through whatever means necessary, but by trying to be not appear menacing, aggressive, all these different things. And maybe though someone is watching that and they never have heard that, and that's where I think it's important, because KJ also admitted being the first Black guy on Summer House is a huge pressure, and he just is so in his head wanting to get it right, because representation, it still is a thing. And they're pointing out what is accurate, which is that racism and race is still a massive, massive issue in the United States. So Summer House is very light in many ways, but it also is very compelling and interesting and educational to see stories about race and deeper topics, and to see greater representation, in this case with people who are Black in the house. It's interesting to get to see different groups of people together. So also, this is going to the more lighthearted, silly side, is West like putting his foot on Ciara, eventually like kind of rubbing her side in front of everybody when she's in a bathing suit, when they're playing Truth or Dare and Spin the Bottle. That was a bold move. West is, I'm impressed, but clearly he could pick up that Ciara was okay with it because she let it happen. And the conversation outside where Mia is saying in front of Lindsay as well as Amanda, I thought West is in love with Ciara. He'd have to do a lot of work, which I agree. And I do agree so much with Ciara. This is what annoys me about West, is how, yeah, she goes, even if he's in love with me, he's not going to say it out loud because he won't talk about what he's actually feeling. So we'll see if he has that confidence and that ability to be vulnerable, because I think that will mean a lot to her, especially because he'll be professing his love on national television. So there is a bigger amount of risk for him than just if it was normally happening. And so they were asking outside, Amanda, Mia, Lindsay, with Ciara, okay, so would the door ever be open if he was able to do all these things that you're looking for? And like Lindsay, this is the way I am with my long-term ex or any ex. There is nothing, like, we will never, ever, ever be back together, no matter what. There's no chance, beyond no chance. So I'm with Lindsay when she says about Carl. She knows she will never, ever, ever get with him ever, ever again. Get that. She goes, so Ciara, is it that level? And Ciara admitted no. So she wasn't like, yeah, I'm going for West, but she's leaving the door open if she can't say that they'll never, ever, ever get together. This is going to be very interesting for a character arc for West, and see what kind of growth, how badly he wants to get back with Ciara and how much he's willing to put on the line to do so. But going back to him this is something that was a red flag for me, that was concerning, when he started putting his foot on Ciara's leg and then touching her and moving his chair closer to her when they were playing the game. Jesse Solomon, who's probably so jealous and threatened, he's laughing his head off about it. And then West, I don't know if he said F you or whatever, but he looked at Jesse kind of like, see what I'm doing, see what I got. I don't like that it seemed like rubbing it in Jesse's face to be like, who's actually going to get with Ciara, who's actually close to her, me. I do get why West is kind of like F off, but is his ego involved in wanting to show Jesse, I can get her back. She doesn't ever want to be with you. So I hope, again, that that's not a huge part of his motivation to try to get back with Ciara. I think that I was like, I don't really like that. Kyle was awesome this episode. I thought he did a great job of actually almost being like a counselor or communicator between Ciara and West, and saying a lot of things. We see that you respect Ciara so much and you respect West. And I thought Kyle, was doing a great job there. And I thought everybody really gave Mia, Ciara, and KJ the chance to speak at that same dinner conversation. It was kind of cool to see. It was seeming like there was a little bit of flirtation with Ben and Bailey, where they were spun the bottle to each other, so they made out. But then the next day they were having a conversation lying in a bed. Not that that part's important. It's not like they hooked up, but saying basically it was making amends for the day before when he got really pissed off at her about the Amanda comment. And it seemed that they were making some headway together there, which was interesting to see. But I'm also looking at the preview, and I can't remember the name of Ben's girlfriend or the woman that's going to come to be with him. And they're saying he's super, super into her. Also, I keep saying Dara, but I feel like people are saying Dara, so I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly, but that KJ has invited her to come stay. I cannot wait to see that. But then also saying in the preview that then Dara's going to spend an hour in Ben's room, and that part is so interesting for the future episode. Carl and Bailey went on a little date. I don't see that lasting long term, but still nice to see Bailey branching out to someone who I think is a nicer, more stable person than the men she's described as having dated before. So that's good. Levi is still really, it does seem that they have been cutting her out. Or is she just that shy? Don't know why she's not getting any part of the story edit. It just showed her and Jesse making out during the spin the bottle thing. Did find it interesting, the conversation in their apartment in New York City with Kyle and Amanda, where she's saying, I didn't marry a DJ. Could you stay home more on the weekends? And he's, well, what am I going to do if I stay home? What am I supposed to do? Well, we could do stuff together. It would be really fun. So it's interesting now that they are fully separated, because at least on camera, Amanda was still putting effort to say, hey, can we connect? Can we do stuff together? Is there a way you can scale down? Because Kyle was saying he's going to get an agent or some manager, someone who's going to get him better deals for DJing. And that was concerning for her. But you see, even though she is still trying, I noticed she didn't seem that disappointed. She's still putting it out there, but she doesn't seem too hurt. I think she's adjusted to Kyle not meeting her halfway. So that is a definite foreshadowing of what's going to go down, as we know. Another thing that's showing kind of the tension there is when Kyle and Amanda, they do kiss at the spin the bottle thing, and Kyle's like so excited. She's like, you smell like cheese. He is being funny, but saying, oh my God, I haven't had a good kiss in so long. I love kissing you. And then when they're at the last dinner and he asks if he can have a sip of her drink, and she agrees if he's nice to her this weekend, we see them still interacting. But yes, the energy is very, very much so off between them. The next things that I want to see next week is definitely West and Ciara progressing. Sorry, there's something else. So I want to see what happens I want to see what happens with West and Ciara, but they were showing that clip forward where West does something that Ciara walks off into the house. So if he makes out with someone in front of her or pulls that, then he obviously is not that serious. It's just a game to him, because that's just ridiculous. Can't wait to see what that is. It was a pretty interesting episode, but nothing too major happened in it. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Hope you have a great night, and see you next week.